What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. I hope you are having a fantastic night tonight. We are deep diving into the AM8 Flix 2. This is a new offering from AM8. AM8, if you are not familiar, is the sister company of Miguron. They are the same knife company, but just different names. So if you're not familiar with AM8, but you are familiar with Miguron, they are one and the same. And if you are not familiar with Miguron, they make some of the best budget or more affordable knives on the market today. And they also dabble in the premium side or the semi-premium side of the production world as well, in the $150, $200 range. And for the money, for what you are getting, these knives could definitely be at a higher price point. There are definitely other companies out there who are giving you the same exact materials and builds and charging $100 to even $200 more than what Miguron and AM8 are charging the public. So you are getting, when you're buying a Miguron or an AM8, you are getting a premium build, whether it's $50 or $150. You're going to get good materials across the board. This one in particular, the Flix 2, is coming in S90V, which Miguron and AM8 are, from what I've heard, they are heat treating their S90V at least to the proper spec, from what I've heard. They do run their M390 a little soft, but who in the Chinese production world doesn't run their M390 soft? I'm pretty sure most, if not every single one of them, run it a tad soft. But in this case, it's S90V. You have this nice drop point blade with a swedge going to the tip. This is not bead blasted. This is actually a sand blast, a high polished sand blast. It is a different type of finish. They are both blasted finishes, but one is a bead blast, one is a sand blast. They are different, even though they are still a blasted media. And from my experience, the sand blasting, whether you hate it or love it, or you just don't care, it holds up way better than your typical bead blast does. The finish holds up better, and it's not as prone to corrosion. As a matter of fact, I've had bead blasted blades from D2 up to M390 all rust within a matter of a few days to a few weeks. I have some sandblasted finishes that from 2 years ago are still holding up well today. So that's just kind of, that's my experience, and everyone else's could be different as well. But in my experience, the sandblast does hold up fairly well. You are getting a nice cutout and a front flipper tab. All of them work very good in my experience. The detent is tuned very well for that front flipper. It is a little more stout, but with the right amount of practice, you can thumb and reverse flick this guy easy peasy. I've heard some people say there's not enough room in there. There is definitely enough room to reverse flick this and thumb flick it out. You just use the outer ridge here and you are good to go. The action is fantastic, and so are the acoustics of this knife. They do give you some nice milling on the titanium faux bolsters here. Awesome copper infused carbon fiber onlays here. Titanium frame. I don't see any internal milling on either side, no. So those are solid slabs of titanium, and then you're getting a nice milled clip along with a tie backspacer. The clip seems to work very good. I've carried this quite a bit over the last few days, week or two. And to put that out there, this is not a review. This is just an overview, a deep dive of this knife. So with that, why don't we go ahead and we'll pull up some specs of this guy. You are getting, that's about right there. So you're getting 2 7/8 of cutting edge and about 3 1/4 of total edge, coming in right around 7.5 inches overall. We'll go ahead and we'll get a quick weight on this guy. It's not very heavy at all, at least in hand. It doesn't feel very heavy. 4 ounces, that's really not that bad at all. While I am thinking about it, about 120 thousandths blade stock, and then we'll just pick a random spot here on the blade, coming down around 23. Now I'm not perfectly on the edge, so I'm willing to bet it's right around the 20,000 mark, somewhere in there. And from my limited time with this knife, it is a great carry and it cuts very well. We'll throw it up against a couple knives here, the Para 3 and the Paramilitary 2, the Warncliffe edition. That is a Cutlery Shop exclusive in XHP. We'll go ahead and throw it up against the Hogue Deca and the Ritter Hogue, which it's going to be fairly comparable to both, very close to the Deca and not quite as big as the Ritter Hogue. Why don't we go ahead and we'll get a little fancy with it, and we'll throw a Null Knives Voodoo and a Null Knives Raiden in there. The Raiden is going to be a very fair comparison of that guy. And since it is copper infused carbon fiber, why don't we throw a couple of copper infused carbon fiber knives up, the EMP EDC Nimble and the Tuya NV4. The NV4 is very comparable as well. Nimble is going to be a little bit smaller than the AM8 Flicks 2. Overall, guys, this knife is fantastic. I have a ton of experience with Miguron and AM8. I've been buying Miguron knives for probably on the better side of 2 years at this point. I have a dozen of them at least. I have recently just done a video on quite a few of the Miguron and AM8s that I have. So if you're interested in checking out other Miguron AM8 style knives or branded knives, there is a video up on the channel very recently. You can head over there and check it out. But like I said earlier, for the money, you are getting a fantastic value, and it's not going to feel, that's one thing about Migurons. You're getting a good price, and because of that, some people may tend to think, and myself included, up until a certain point, you kind of feel like it's got to be cheaply made or something's not right. But I think the fact of the matter is Miguron is not overcharging us. We know for the most part that knives are not that expensive to mass produce. Doesn't matter the steel or the handle material. Yes, some prices will fluctuate. Certain more intricate designs will be more expensive, but a simple design, something that's not complex at all, using very standard materials, and for this day and age, S90V, titanium and carbon fiber, that is a frame lock or this style of bolster lock. It's an everyday knife that comes out every week. There's nothing crazy here, and the price reflects that. But if this was We Knives or a Ria or a Best Tech, now, yeah, the quality could be going up in a sense if it was a Riot or a Best Tech maybe. You know, I put this right up there with QSP, if not ahead of their OEM work. Somewhere from QSP to Best Tech, that's this quality right here. It is fantastic, very well tuned. Everything is fantastic. Nice finger choil here, full finger choil, allowing you to get right up on that blade. Perfect for an index grip. They nail the ergos. They nail the design. Very good materials. And I love the added, you know, splash of milling that they've been doing over the last year. Great job on their end. They put a nice chamfer on the lock bar, so they nail that. They keep the blade, for the most part, very clean. Just a little tiny emblem you can barely see, which is fine. And then they have the knife steel there, which is absolutely fine. Perfect. I love their experimenting with carbon fiber, different carbon fibers for inlays. It's not something they typically do. But for the most part, it is a very simple design that is done extremely well, and the action is fantastic, very well tuned, and the acoustics of this knife are also very good. It's got a nice positive open and then a nice click when it closes, a nice positive pop every single time. And I've been telling a lot of people who've been asking to definitely check this out. If you get this knife off Amazon, I can almost guarantee you will like this knife. And if you don't, you can send it back and get your money back. But I would not tell you this knife is great if it wasn't, in my opinion. This could possibly be, now I only have 12, but that's quite a bit considering they don't have a ton of knives, but I have about a dozen and they are all very good. But this is on the next level for Miguron and AM8. This is a step ahead of what they typically do. And if they continue with this sort of trajectory, they are going to be up there with some of the best OEMs in the world. And they are already tiptoeing at the door. They just need to keep up this type of work, and I believe they will be there very soon. 2024 is going to be a big year for Miguron. If they continue doing what they've been doing this year, they will be up in that discussion without a question. But we'll do a full in-depth review of this guy here in the next couple of weeks. 2 months or so probably. We'll do a review. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this guy. I know a couple of you guys were planning on going and picking one of these up. Let me know if you picked one up or are thinking about picking up any Miguron. If you're new to the channel or you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below the video. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up on your way out. I will catch you guys on the next one.